At the starting of the movie, we see Min trying to draw a picture of his mother. He inquires his older sister Da-bin whether their mother's face was round and whether her hair was long or short. While washing clothes, Da-bin tells Min what their mother looked like. But Min questions her about why she describes a different face each time. He also questions if she has forgotten their mother's face. The truth is, Da-bin was also very young when their mother died, so she doesn't remember her mother's face either. After their mother's passing, Da-bin is the one who takes care of Min, looking after his food and everything else he needs. That night, after Min fell asleep, Da-bin took out an old box kept on top of the cupboard and pulled out an old photo of their mother. But in every picture, their father had scratched out their mother's face so they wouldn't be able to recognize her. Just then, the doorbell rang. Da-bin quickly hid everything and opened the door. Their father walked into the room. He told them both to get ready because he was going to introduce them to someone today. Later, they found out that Da-bin's father had remarried, and their new mother's name was Ji-suk. Seeing their new mother made both of them very happy. They had always wanted a mother, someone who would play with them, talk to them, and always be there for them.
People on Depop really want your style. Sell your clothes and make even more money with no selling fees. Download now.
When I tell people that I homeschool, the responses I get most often are, I could never do that, and I wouldn't.
The next day, while returning from school, Min tells Da-bin that both of them had thrown 100 paper planes into the sky and wished to God for a mother, and that's why God gave them a new one. For a few days, Ji-suk behaves very nicely with the children. She gives them baths, dries their hair, cooks for them, and even feeds them herself. But slowly, her true nature begins to show. She starts seeing both children as a burden. One day, while eating, Min keeps dropping his food again and again because he still doesn't know how to use chopsticks properly. Ji-suk suddenly ties up her loose hair, and the children freeze in fear, because they know that whenever she does that, she is about to hit them. On the other side, we are shown a young lawyer named Jong who lives in a small town. Since childhood, Jong has lived with her older brother and his wife. After giving many interviews, Jong finally gets a job in a child protection organization. This organization provides legal safety to children, and Jong is replacing a woman named Yuri, who is about to leave the job. Meanwhile, Ji-suk has started beating the children almost every day. In reality, Ji-suk is also a lawyer. She knows the tricks of the law very well, and because of this arrogance, she treats the children however she wants. One day, crossing all limits, Ji-suk got so angry that she grabbed Da-bin by the neck and strangled her. Da-bin could barely breathe in that moment. She had no hope from her father, so with great courage, Da-bin decides not to go home after school the next day. Instead, she goes straight to the police station. Jong and Yuri are assigned this case by the police, but everyone believes that kids these days are like this. The moment their parents scold them a little, they run straight to the police station. Still, as per procedure, both Jong and Yuri take Da-bin back to her house. There, Ji-suk opens the door and immediately acts so well that no one would even suspect her. The moment she sees Da-bin, she hugs her tightly as if she is extremely worried about her. Ji-suk invites Jong and Yuri inside, serves them snacks, and talks to them politely with a smile on her face. After a while, Jong tells Ji-suk that Da-bin has filed a complaint against her for assault. The complaint also states that yesterday Ji-suk tried to choke her. Ji-suk immediately says that kids nowadays learn to lie from who knows where. Jong then informs her that since a complaint has been filed, legal procedures must be followed. Ji-suk will have to attend counseling, and the children may also be called in. Ji-suk quickly agrees, saying she is ready to do anything for her children. After leaving Ji-suk's house, Jong questions Yuri in the car if that woman didn't seem a little too fake. Yuri tells her that whenever a case like this comes to the police, they pass it on to them. But even then, Jong and Yuri don't have any real legal authority or power. She adds that the reason she is quitting this job is because they have to watch everything, yet they can't actually do anything. On the other side, because Da-bin had filed a complaint with the police, Ji-suk beat her so brutally that even the walls of the room felt like they were shaking from her screams. Poor Min crouched in a corner of the room, covering his ears, trying his best not to hear anything. That night, Da-bin's father told Jisuk that if the children died from her beating, their household income would stop, because then neither the government would give them money, nor would the relatives from the children's mother's side send any support. He told Jisuk that she could do whatever she wanted, but she must not kill them. The next day at school, Da-bin's class teacher noticed that she looked unusually sad. Jisuk was a very clever woman. She never hit the children on the face, and she always made them wear clothes that covered their entire bodies. But even then, that day the teacher noticed some marks around Da-bin's neck. Yet the truth is, nobody really cares. The teacher got a phone call and simply walked away. On the other side, outside the school, Min was waiting for Da-bin because he wanted to meet Jong. Both of them go to see Jong, and Jong orders burgers for them. It was the first time Min was eating something so tasty. But while eating, when a little bit of food fell on the table, he suddenly panicked. Because in his mind, dropping food always meant getting beaten. That night, because of the memories, both children were looking at their mother's old photograph. Min then asked Da-bin that if they had this photo, then the other people standing with their mother in the picture must also have a copy of it. This thought struck Da-bin deeply, and the next day both of them went to Jong again. They showed him the photograph and asked him to find the other women standing with their mother. Jong went to the place shown in the photo, but even after searching for a long time, he couldn't find anything, so he took the children to the zoo instead. The truth is, Jong wasn't really interested in this work. He wanted to move to Seoul and become a big lawyer. One day, Jong received a phone call, the opportunity he had been waiting for. A big company in Seoul was calling him to join. He immediately went to drop the children home. But Min didn't want him to leave. Jong gave Min some money and told him to go eat burgers with Da-bin instead. But Min kept insisting, so to distract him, Jong picked up a gorilla toy from the car seat and handed it to him. After this, Jong dropped both of them home. There, he noticed a boy named Frank who lived in the same building. Before leaving, Da-bin asked Jong for his phone number, and Jong handed her his visiting card. The next day, Min and Da-bin went to the burger shop. They had money, but they didn't want to go in without Jong. They decided they would only eat burgers when he returned, so they could eat together. When the two of them came back home, they found their stepmother waiting for them in a furious state. She had found Jong's visiting card in Da-bin's room, and now she believed Da-bin was planning to complain about her again. Seeing Jisuk tying up her hair, Da-bin's eyes filled with tears. She knew what was coming. Jisuk beat her mercilessly and threw her half-conscious body into the bathroom. The next day, without eating or drinking anything, Da-bin somehow managed to walk to school, but she couldn't sit for long and collapsed. Blood was coming out of her ear. The school contacted Jong because Da-bin only wanted to talk to him, but he was caught up with work and refused to come. Still, he couldn't stay away for long and returned late that night. At the hospital, he learned that Jisuk had beaten her so badly that her eardrum had ruptured. Yet, when Jong went to see her, she smiled. Because in the whole world, he was the only one who understood them, spent time with them, and played with them. Seeing him, Da-bin felt that everything would finally be okay. But when Jong told her that he had gotten a job in Seoul and would not be able to come back, she lost her last bit of hope. Before leaving, Jong wanted to at least do something for the children. He spoke to the director of the Child Protection Center because he wanted to file a police case against Jisuk. But when he reached there, he found out that Da-bin had already given her statement. She had said that she fell down, and that's why her ear was bleeding. The director told Jong that now they couldn't do anything, and since Jong had already resigned, there was no need for him to get involved further. He even tried speaking to Da-bin's father, but that didn't help either. Jong returned home, met his family, and began preparing to leave for good. He also realized that he could no longer handle anything, so he left the children to fate and went to Seoul. In Seoul, he was given a good salary, along with a house and a car. But on the other side, one night, a tragic incident took place. Late at night, Min asked Da-bin when Jong would return and when they would go out to eat burgers. Da-bin had just been discharged from the hospital, and her ear was still hurting. Min was just a little child. Holding the money Jong had given him, he started making noise excitedly. Just then, their stepmother entered the room. When she saw such a large note in his hand, she tried to snatch it from him. After that, she beat Min badly. The poor child curled up in the corner of the room, holding the toy Jong had given him. But even that wasn't enough for Jisuk. She slapped Da-bin right on her injured ear and said that since her brother had stolen money today, she needed to be taught a lesson. Jisuk ordered Da-bin to go and slap Min. Da-bin had always cared for Min not just like a sister, but like a mother. She hugged her crying brother tightly. Seeing this made Jisuk even angrier. In a fit of rage, she beat that small child so brutally that the entire building trembled with his screams. All the neighbors heard his cries, yet no one came forward to help. Society continued pretending to be civilized, even as a child's life slipped away right in front of them. The next day, Jong received a phone call. He heard the news of Min's death. Min's mother had beaten him to death after accusing him of stealing. Jong began blaming himself for Min's death. If he hadn't given Min that money, the child would still be alive today. Jong immediately decided to go to Da-bin. On the other side, Jisuk had already prepared a shield to save herself. She threatened Da-bin, saying that if she didn't want to end up dead like her brother, she must do exactly what she was told. She forced Da-bin to write on a piece of paper that she had kicked and hit her brother in anger, and that was how he died. The news shook the entire country. The next day, every news channel arrived to cover this heartbreaking case. In front of everyone, Da-bin was arrested. But since the crime wasn't proven yet, she was sent back home for the time being. Jong spoke to the police and asked why Da-bin was sent back when there had already been a complaint filed against Jisuk. The police replied that they couldn't do anything. Her mother was still her legal guardian. Meanwhile, in her lonely room, Da-bin remembered her brother. Holding Min's toy, Da-bin whispered that they had to stay quiet. Otherwise, their fake mother would kill them both. The next day, Jisuk threw away all of Min's belongings, his books, clothes, everything, including his favorite gorilla toy that Jong had given him. Frank, who lived in the same building, saw Jisuk throwing away Min's toys. Meanwhile, Jong, feeling helpless and unable to do anything from Seoul, told everything to his company's boss and requested leave. His boss coldly replied that some children are just born with such unfortunate fates, and Jong shouldn't waste his time on them. When Jong realized he wouldn't get leave, he quit his favorite job altogether, because he knew that Da-bin needed him more than anything at this moment. Jong returned to his old town and went straight to Da-bin's school. But even after seeing him, Da-bin didn't speak to him. She knew everything was over now. Her brother would never come back. That night, Jong drank heavily. Drunk, he broke down crying, angry at himself and blaming himself for Min's death. The next day, Jong went to a close friend for help, a high-profile lawyer. Jong told her that they had to save Da-bin at any cost. But the problem was that Da-bin had already written a statement admitting guilt. The lawyer friend told Jong that to file a proper case, they first needed Da-bin's consent, her signature, and solid evidence. Jong then teamed up with his former children's shelter and started investigating the reason behind Min's death. The doctor told them that no 10-year-old girl could possibly beat someone to death like that. After that, her friend told Jong that to file a proper case, they first needed Da-bin's consent, her signature, and solid evidence. Possibly beat someone to death like that. After that, Jong and his team began collecting signatures for a petition. Meanwhile, told them that no 10-year-old girl could possibly. Jong then teamed up with his former children's shelter and started investigating the reason behind Min's death. The doctor told them that no 10-year-old girl could possibly beat someone to death like that. After that, Jong and his team began collecting signatures for a petition. Meanwhile, several things about Jisuk came to light. She claimed to be a lawyer, but her license had been revoked. She had even been to jail, and reports of her violent fights and temper inside prison also surfaced. With all this evidence, they were finally granted permission by the court to file a case against Jisuk. But now the biggest challenge remained, getting Da-bin's signature for her own case. And that was nearly impossible because Jisuk no longer let Da-bin step outside the house. Jong decided to take Frank's help. Every day, after Jisuk left the house, Frank secretly delivered a gift bag containing an envelope to Da-bin. But Da-bin always placed it in a corner without opening it. Until one day, she finally opened the envelope and found a tape recorder inside with Jong's voice on it. Da-bin began listening to the recorded message. In the tape, Jong said, "Da-bin, you are not alone. There are so many people outside who stand with you. They know your story. They want to help you. But for that, you need to meet me. I'll be waiting for you near the bridge." Gathering all the courage she had left, Dabin quietly stepped out of the house. But right at the door, her stepmother was standing. Jisuk snatched the tape recorder from her hands and played it. Hearing Jong's voice, her anger exploded again. She beat Dabin so brutally that her screams echoed through the entire building. Frank, who lived nearby, heard the cries and immediately called Jong. Wherever Jong was, he dropped everything and ran straight to Dabin's house. He took the half-unconscious girl from there and brought her to his own home. Late that night, Dabin's father arrived trying to take her back. He threatened Jong, yelled at him, but Jong had already made up his mind. He would not back down anymore. He would fix the mistake he made. Soon after, Jisuk was taken into custody. A few days later, she was produced in court. And once again, she started her old drama. Fake tears, fake sympathy. She cried and said, "I'm such a bad mother. I couldn't even control my children. I didn't know when they became so violent that one killed the other." She even had the written confession that Dabin was forced to sign, and she tried to win the judge's sympathy. The next day was Dabin's hearing. Jong was extremely stressed. That morning, Jong's nephew came to him looking for his gorilla toy. The toy had a feature where pressing its nose automatically started recording. Jong froze on the spot. He suddenly remembered he had given that same toy to Min, and since Jisuk had thrown away all of Min's belongings, Jong raced straight to the recycling dump. He searched through a week's worth of garbage, digging through piles all night long, but he couldn't find the gorilla. The next day, in court, when they questioned Dabin about how she killed Min, the innocent child broke down completely and started crying uncontrollably. The judge announced a short break before delivering the final verdict. Jong felt hopeless. Time was slipping away and he had no evidence left. And then, suddenly, Frank showed up. In his hands was the same gorilla toy. Actually, on that day, Frank had seen Jisuk throwing out Min's belongings. He found the toy in that pile of trash and quietly took it home. A few moments later, the court session resumed. In front of everyone, Jong handed the gorilla toy to Dabin. The moment she saw it, her expression changed. She clutched it tightly to her chest. To her, it felt as if her little brother had returned to her in the form of that toy. Then Dabin finally began to speak. She said, "Adults are cruel. They never listened to us. No matter how much we cried, no one cared." She said Min was gone forever, and if she dared to open her mouth, Jisuk would kill her too. Jong looked at the judge and said, "This is a girl whose courage was beaten out of her every single day." And then she watched her own brother being beaten to death right in front of her. What did the system do? It sent her back to the same woman who threatened her, abused her, and told her she would be killed if she spoke the truth. Then Jong pressed the button on the toy, and the recorded clip began to play. In that recording were Min's childish, playful words, his sweet and bitter memories with Dabin, and his cries, crying for help night after night. And then suddenly his voice went silent. His small body stopped moving. He had left this cruel world. Everything became clear. Jisuk was sentenced to 20 years in prison, and her husband received 5 years. It sends chills down the spine when you remember. This is a true story. A brutal murder that happened in the middle of a civilized society, and everyone was responsible. In the final scene of the movie, Jong finds Dabin's real mother's photograph and gives it to her. Just then, a small piece of paper floats in the air. Dabin looks at it as it drifts upward, as if Min himself is gently returning to his mother.
Communicate in over 65 languages with Gemini and Google Workspace. Translate all your meetings and messages in real time with AI in Google Meet and Chat. Understand each other.